Hey my friends, it is a beautiful day. I'm on the 101 headed south, going to speak at two churches, Camarillo, California, and then after that El Monte, east of Los Angeles, with Pastor Jonathan Copley in the evening. So this is July 9th, 2017. China doesn't know whose side they're on. They're obviously the largest communist country, the red horse of Revelation chapter 6, where communism is identified in the Bible. So the situation with China is precarious because we can't trust them. They consider us their number one enemy. They're identified in Revelation chapter 9, verses 13 through 16, and they're identified as the entity, the culmination in Revelation chapter 9, trumpet number 6, which it gets a little complicated, but if you've heard me teach on the seven trumpets, trumpet number 6 most likely began on September 11th because it's perpetrated by the green horse of Revelation 6:8, but it culminates with the killing of 1/3 of the human race, which obviously that's never happened. It would be with over 7 billion people and soon 8 billion people. It will wind up with the eventual killing, unfortunately, of over 2 billion people. Well, that's never happened. It's never been possible for that to happen until now. China could be the one, as you know, that perpetrates that because it identifies the one who does bring it to its peak as a nation that can field 200 million soldiers on the battlefield. Well, they're the only one that can do that, except the Islamic world, which that is a possibility too, but the Islamic world is spread out over the entire globe with many nations. So it appears that that passage is a combination of both the Islamic world and China. Well, why China? Because the two don't seem to be connected, except that they are connected in a few ways. Mao Zedong, as you know, the originator of communism in China, boasted in his personal journal when communism took over China in 1949. Mao Zedong boasted that he could field 200 million soldiers on the battlefield. Well, the deal is that China, they've been trying to play both sides. They've been trying to have their cake and eat it too. They consider us their number one enemy. And excuse me, I'm changing lanes here. So many things about this, and it would take me an hour to explain it. But China continually hacks us. They have an entire department of their military that does nothing but hack into the computer systems of their enemies. They've had over 2,000 missiles pointed at Taiwan since millions of freedom-loving Chinese in 1949 went across the Straits of Formosa and started Taiwan. So, we've had a law since the 70s in Congress related to the China-Taiwanese Relations Act that says if China ever invades Taiwan, we're obligated by federal law passed in Congress to defend Taiwan. And that has become a hot issue over the years. In fact, in 1995, Mr. Guankai of the communist regime said that he didn't think we'd be willing to trade Los Angeles for Taiwan. It was a tongue-in-cheek nuclear threat against the United States, which later in 2002, Condoleezza Rice, she scolded Mr. Guankai for making such irresponsible remarks. So now fast forward to today, when Trump hosted Xi Jinping at Mar-a-Lago in Florida a few months ago. What was it, back in March or April, whenever it was, I think it was April, to discuss the North Korea situation and the Syria situation. It was at that particular time they launched 59 cruise missiles into Syria, which I didn't really care for that particular action, although it did show that the United States is not going to be, puppeteered by Russia, and it kind of began to lay that situation to rest, that whole scenario that was created by, fake news perpetrated by media outlets such as CNN and MSNBC, etc., the ones who put out a lot of fake news. I'm not saying everything they put out is fake, but they put out a lot of fake news. Anyway, having said that, what Trump is doing is brilliant he came under the gun, and a lot of people criticized him for even hosting Jinping. But what he did was, in private talks, the news doesn't show everything, because not all the talks are on the news. Just like his recent meeting with Vladimir Putin in Hamburg, Germany, most of the important talks were behind the scenes. Well, the same thing when he met with Jinping in Mar-a-Lago. Basically, he forced Jinping to make a decision, and that's regarding North Korea, led by psychopath Kim Jong-un. He said, look, we are not going to allow North Korea to have nuclear ballistic missiles, which they just tested a nuclear-capable missile. We know that. It flew for 37 minutes in outer space, landed in the Sea of Japan just a few days ago. So Trump has said to Jinping in the last 24 hours or 48 hours, he said, look, we are going to rein in North Korea with or without you. So you're going to have to make a decision.